Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, depending from where you are tuning in today. You are welcome. And I am your host for today, Ambassador Veronique Lawson. And on behalf of Mamlaka Broadcast Network, or how we affectionately call it, MBN, you are welcome. Welcome for tuning in today for another edition with Mamlaka Broadcast Network. Our platform is designed to contrast the worldly fact with the kingdom truth, the original. So today we are going to be touching again on that kingdom access with our guest all the way from Dumfries, Virginia, Mayor Derrick Wood. And you know exactly that we are the ecclesia, we are the body of Christ, and many people around the world do not really know what is the body of Christ of the ecclesia. Welcome, Ambassador George. Welcome. So today we have a kingdom ambassador, a dynamic leader in the government, Mayor Derrick Wood, all the way from the state of Virginia. So he is going to be addressing this part 2 of kingdom access. If you have missed part 1, when he talked with us, I feel like 2 months ago, I will admonish you to go back and try to capture every nugget that he shared with us on part 1. So a short definition of access is the right of privilege to approach, to reach, or to enter, or to make use of something, or a way, a means of approaching or entering from a given authority. Actually, it's very simple. As if you may think, oh, how can I get it? 2 Corinthians chapter 1:20 gave us access. All the promises of God are yes and amen in him. So God locked every promises and every blessing in him. And it's accessible to us through the person of Jesus Christ and through Holy Spirit. So are you in him? If yes, then you could quickly access everything that God has in store for you. So today, as we we talk about the promises and we talk about kingdom access, you could receive it. It's today. You could receive it today. You could receive it yesterday. You could receive it every time that you want. The only problem people do not receive it is because they do not understand it. And that is the reason why we try to bring guests like Mayor Derrick Wood to give us his understanding on it. But prior for him coming in, I would like again to reiterate his sketch biography. Derrick Wood is a successful author, veteran and entrepreneur, a family man. He is currently serving as a mayor of Dumfries, Virginia, respected as a leader wherever he goes, who has gained his part for many of his commitment to community service. Hello, beautiful Queen Eliana, all the way from Brazil, to create a world where excellence is standard, constantly pursuing higher heights. The Marine veteran can be found ushering in various waves of purpose fueled by living, knowing firsthand the power of perseverance. Wood empowers others to pursue their purpose with vigor and intentionality. His modern and unique approach to leadership and impact have left room for opportunity to share transformational words of wisdom and rediscovering purpose, refocusing vision, and clarifying potential, and much more. With an air of relatability and true sense of confidence, Derrick Wood serves everyone he encounters with humility and charm. He is the founder and a pitmaster of Divine Barbecue in Motion, a mobile barbecue gathering company, restaurant, and a competition team. He and the Divine Barbecue team happily and successfully serve the Dumfries, Virginia area with food that is full of flavor and cooked to perfection. My goodness. Mayor Wood resided in Dumfries, Virginia with his wife and children. So sit back and pull out your notepad and hear the tale for yourself. What our guests have to add into this Kingdom Access Part 2. And one thing I will ask of you, do not be a reservoir, but be a river. So share this broadcast with all your entourage. Be the media evangelist, but simply share the broadcast with all your entourage. And as you do that one, you are actually buying a share in this kingdom business, this kingdom platform, or this kingdom expansion platform for God. So now let me hear the tale from our guest today, Mayor Derrick, who I know that he's been running out because he have again to go for another election coming next. So he's going to touch on that too. So the floor is your Mayor Derrick Wood. Thank you.
Hey, listen, if nobody else clap for me, I'm gonna clap for myself. Listen,
Let me clap for you.
Listen,
Let me clap for you, Mayor. Let me clap for you.
I appreciate that warm introduction that you've given me to really, it's funny because when you hear somebody else talk about you, and to really, sometimes you sit back and, because when you're in the midst of creating and doing things, you don't have the time to appreciate it. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk about, like, who I am as a person, what I've accomplished, and what I'm doing right now. So thank you for that introduction. To Ambassador Lawson, thank you for this platform, and what you're doing to really expose people to really what it means to be a part of really just effectively becoming the best version of themselves. That's what I'm saying. Like, understanding kingdom and dominion is really understanding why you were created. Because we understand where purpose isn't known, abuse is inevitable, right? Meaning there's a normal use and then there's an abnormal use for your life. So really, kingdom access is just you really accessing who you really are. And so thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the guests. I want to apologize to everybody who's listening. You may hear a little background noise. You may hear a little music. I've been running around on the campaign trail, but I had this schedule and wanted to keep this commitment. So I stopped at a local Starbucks. So there may be some brewing or some coffee. You may hear some people going on, but I wanted to make sure that I stopped and I honored this commitment to really share with you all about what it takes on becoming a leader and exercising your leadership gift. And so, is that all right? If that's all right, if it's all right for me to go
Yeah,
on. So,
Mayor Derrick, we're so much appreciative of your time. Please, you have really, we want to let you know, Mamlaka Broadcast Network TV want to let you know how much we so much appreciate you, and that we want to let you know also that we know that God is putting you back again as a mayor and Dumfries. I mean, you are running, and we know that you are running for the campaign out there, and
yes.
you take time to sit down and share the nugget with us. Please, please, thank you very much.
Absolutely. And listen, so some people want to do this job, but they're not called to do the job, right? Let me say that again. Some people want to do the job, but they ain't called to do the job. Some people are called to do the job and they don't even want to do the job. And then you're fortunate to have somebody who wants to do the job. They're called to do the job. And not only that, they're anointed and they're favored to do the job. And I think I able to walk into all of that. This position was actually predestined. It was preordained, as I can say. We know that my spiritual dad, Dr. Miles Monroe, your spiritual father as well, he put this in his position and he spoke this position into my life before I can see it. He saw further than my eyes can see because I often joke and I say I think God has a sense of humor and we all do it. So I give him another name. I know some people call him Jehovah Jireh and Jehovah Nisi and all that other stuff. Well, I also call God Jehovah Sneaky, right? Because sometimes he sneaks stuff into your life that you don't even expect, that you didn't even see. Like, it's funny because the very thing that you avoid, that very thing that makes you upset, that very thing that anchors you is actually the thing that the problem or the thing that you're supposed to solve. Like, you're the solution to a problem in the world, right? And I don't know if y'all taking notes, but I'm actually getting into what it takes to become a leader right now. Because a leader isn't a title that you give yourself, right? Think about it. If you call yourself a leader and nobody's following you or you haven't inspired anybody, you're just somebody who's just taking a walk, right? Because you can't be a leader and you don't have nobody that you inspire. And you got to understand that good leadership is actually indispensable. And just like my father, I believe that trapped inside of you, yep, you watching right now, is an undiscovered leader, right? Something you're somebody great who has a deposit to leave for the next generation. Your leadership gift is not for you. Listen to me. Let me say this. Your leadership gift is not for you. It's like the hand. If you look at your hand, and I often do this, and I say, hand, what can you do for yourself? And I play around and I try to figure out the hand. The hand can do nothing for the hand. But when you put the hand with the other arm and the other hand and the elbow and the rest of your body, you realize that the hand wasn't created just for the hand, but the hand was created for the rest of the body. I hope y'all get it. Your ability to lead, your leadership gift is not for you, but it's for you to impact not only you but the next generation. Like your leadership gift isn't even for this generation, but it's for the next generation. And so you got to understand your destiny. It's not even ahead of you right now, but it's trapped on the inside of you. It's like you got to get birth and you got to become. That's why I like the word becoming. You are a human being, ing, and you are becoming your leadership gift. Let me say that again. You are a human being, so that means you're always becoming. You have never arrived. And that's why you got to understand, like, the greatest tragedy in life is not actually death. Let me say that again. The greatest tragedy in life is not death. People, there's a time to be born and there's a time to die. So dying isn't a tragedy. It's what you're like. The fact that we're caught up in time means eventually that we're going to die because we got to go back into eternity. We're just out of eternity right now and we stepped into time. And so the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but it's you to live your life without becoming a leader. Come on, let me say that again. The greatest tragedy in life is not death, but it's you not becoming a leader in the area that you was born to be a leader in. Let me say that again. You have been created to lead in a certain area in your life. There's a certain area of gifting. You have to inspire. You have to influence. You have to really create a mission, and it's something that really angers you that God created you to do. And it's already built on the inside of you. Think about it. What's built inside of a fish? Swim is built inside a fish. So a fish doesn't have to go to swim school. A fish doesn't have to learn how to float. A fish doesn't have to learn how to breathe underwater. But when you put a fish in water, a fish just swims. But if you take that fish out of water, it begins to struggle. It begins to flap. It begins to bop around because it's operating outside of what it was created to do. And when it finds what it was created to do, it's natural. It's easy. There's something that's easy to you, but it's difficult to others. That's the area that you are gifted to be in. That's the area that you're designed to lead in. And so I'm going to give you the keys or what I use to become a leader, right? And your leadership, you got to understand, write this down. Great leaders don't desire to lead. They just desire to serve. Let me say that again. If you want to be a great leader, your desire isn't for leadership. It isn't for a title. It isn't for a position, but it's to serve, right? And you got to figure out what it is that you have to serve, right? Because Jesus was in the upper room with his disciples. I don't know if y'all remember this, and I ain't gonna tell you exactly where it is, but they were having a meal. They were in a place like a Starbucks in the upper room, and you had the twins, the sons of thunder. The mom and them, they were bickering about who was going to sit on the left and who was going to sit on the right and who was going to be great in the kingdom, right? And Jesus said, well, let's look around this room right now. Who's great in this room? And when you're in a restaurant, you're in a restaurant because you want to eat. And so somebody has to serve you your meal because it's in the restaurant. And so he said, if you want to be great, you got to be willing to serve, like that server over there. But what was she serving? She was serving her gift of hospitality. Most of you don't know what your gift is. But once you discover what your gift is, that's ultimately what you got to serve, right? And so right now, why this topic is important is because me being a leader in my community, not only as a mayor, but as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, I'm finding everywhere I go that our youth, our young people are begging for leadership. There is a leadership void. There are young girls who don't have a father or any type of leadership in their house. They're young boys who don't know how to operate in authority. When you see the rise in violence that's going on, when you see the people who are going around without any type of discipline or without any type of vision, it's because there is a void of leadership. There's a void of any type of authority in their life, and they're suffering. And so the essence of leadership, what I want you to understand is it's gonna be down to an exercise of influence, right? And you have to be preoccupied because a true leader is going to be a model for his followers. And so it's going to take some things. It's going to take these 10 lessons that I learned from Dr. Miles Monroe that I'm going to pass on to you, which has helped me to effectively continue to become a leader. Now, this isn't something that you're going to get right off, but it's something that you're going to apply over and over and over on a period of time. First thing you got to understand at this point is leadership for you is going to be a discovery. You got to understand that all of us are called to lead. I know you probably thinking this is a paradox because if we're all called to lead, you're probably thinking, well, who's going to follow? Like there has to be somebody following the leader, but not necessarily. You got to think about it. We're all called to lead. What I want you to understand is in the area of gifting in your life. You're called to lead with your talents and your gifts. Think about it. There's the parable of the talents, right? He gave one talent, he gave another 2 talents, and he gave another 5 talents. He gave each one according to what they had the ability to manage, right? And so your leadership is based on what you have the ability to manage. You can be a leader in multiple areas only if you manage well. And if you mismanage your leadership gift, I think at the end of the parable, he said he took from the one who just buried his talent and wasn't willing to become a leader in that area, and he actually fired him. He called them wicked and he called them lazy. Your wickedness and your laziness puts you in a position when you don't want to become a leader in a certain area of your life, right? And so I need you to understand the first thing I want you to get is that each and every one of us is called to lead. In our third world leaders, our mission statement is we are transforming followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change. Eventually, when we turn a follower into a leader, that leader then becomes a change agent, right? And so I just need you to understand that no matter what your history says about you, it's no indication of your future. Think about it. The Bible gives us lesson after lesson of the most unlikely leaders. Moses, he was a fugitive, right? Because he actually was angry at the institution of slavery because the people looked like him and he killed the slave master. But he became one of the greatest lawgivers in history. Gideon, he was a coward, for threshing wheat when his father called and came to him. But you got to look at Gideon became one of the greatest leaders and warriors of his generation. Most people look at David as insignificant as a shepherd boy. He was the least in his family. His family forgot about him when they came looking for people to become the king. And he was probably the greatest king the nation of Israel had ever produced. You look at Peter. He was unlikely because he was a simple fisherman. He denied Christ, but then he became the first major leaders of the church back in the day. Guys in modern history, Abraham Lincoln, he was suicidal. He was had little formal education. He was very awkward. Became one of the presidents that created the Emancipation Proclamation. You look at folks like Helen Keller, and I like Helen Keller because she said, "What's worse than being blind is having sight but no vision." She was from a small town in Alabama, and she had an illness that made her lose her sight. But she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom for her book, and it's still available in over 50 languages. You look at a teacher named Mother Teresa. She was a nun, and she devoted her life in Calcutta, India, and her compassion. And she ended up winning a Nobel Peace Prize. What I'm giving you these examples because I want you to understand is that no matter who you are in a position where you can lead. Everyone is a leader, and there's a leader in everyone, and it's waiting to serve not only your generation but the next generation. Like your leadership is not just for you and the next generation, but it's going to impact, I think, me the next 3 or 4 generations. I was just recently looking at a podcast of the guy who started Chick-fil-A, and they have a family business that's impacting 4 generations right now. And what I'm telling you is your leadership ability, your leadership gift has the impact um, multiple generations. And so I just want you to understand that you are created to lead. If you don't believe me, it's funny because I know you hear songs in your churches and things like that that says you were created to worship, but there's nowhere in the Bible that says you were created to worship God, because that would make God a very vain God, right? But you were created to lead. If you read Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, it tells you exactly why you were created. And I think this show is named after that. It says, then God said, let us make man in our image, in our likeness. And then he said this, he turned it over and he said, and let them rule. And the word rule, we know, is translated to have dominion or to have mamlaka, right? Over the fish of the sea, over the birds, over the air, over the livestock, or over the earth. So the thing I want you to understand is that when he created you, he gave you dominion, not over each other, not over mankind, but over everything else. So you have dominion and you are created to lead in a certain area of gifting in your life, right? And so his image and his likeness means you got God's authority, you got God's character, you got God's moral and spiritual nature, you got his power and rulership, and it's all part of his nature. So what you got to understand, deeply embedded in the nature of man, of me and you, is the spirit of rulership and authority, meaning you are created a leader. Somebody write that in the comments. Like, I am created to be a leader. Somebody put that down there. Like, if you get what I'm putting down, I need you to understand that and talk back to me, right? And so you got to understand that you were created in his image and likeness, meaning you got his character, you got his authority, you got his ability to do all that. And so the creator, then breathed his own life into you, further imparting his own nature onto you. And then he established your role to have dominion over all the earth. And so he gave you dominion. Both he gave dominion to both male and female, right? You got to think about it. When he said male, he meant male and female, because when he says man, there's no gender created in that. So he gave us each the same type of authority. And so we have responsibility. And God never intended for there to be some people who are always the leaders and other people who are always followers. He created all of us to be in a leadership role. That's how he created us, right? Yeah, yeah, getting that? Say yes. Now, I want you to fulfill that role and understand that you were actually called to lead. And as you understand that we're all born leaders and we're all designed to lead according to the image of the creator that's put in us, then I want you to commit today, if you haven't, that you will return to the purpose with why you were created. Right? I need you to commit the process that I'm gonna take you through um, over the hopefully in these next 10 minutes. I'm gonna get through this, but I want you to discover your true self. I want you to discover there's a fulfillment in your life. I want you to commit to just make a commitment. And if you're going to commit, right, I'm going to commit in the comments right now to discover the gifts and the talents that you were meant to share with the world. Like a gift, you don't, I know some people nowadays buying their own gifts, but the purpose of the gift is to give it. Like, you don't have a gift to keep for yourself. And so the purpose of your gift is so that you can leave a legacy. It's your gift will help you defeat death. It will help you. Like, the greatest tragedy in life, I told you, is to live your life without purpose. That's the greatest tragedy. It's not death, but it's you not depositing. Like, imagine if Mozart hadn't wrote the music he wrote. Imagine if people have if Steve Jobs didn't create the personal computer, we wouldn't be doing the stuff that we're doing, and we wouldn't have the iPhone. Imagine what he would have taken to the grave with him. And there's something that you have on the inside that you need to deposit with this world. So I need you to rob the grave of what you're carrying. Now I know what you're saying. So what is leadership? Because I want you to make sure that you understand what leadership is, right? Because a title and a position doesn't guarantee performance. Just as somebody gets the title of a leader, and you have people who are elected officials who aren't leaders. They just convince enough people to elect them to get in these type of positions, right? And so a title doesn't define your leadership. It does not guarantee performance. It does not guarantee productivity, right? Somebody who is a leader is somebody who's always serving to benefit not himself, but to benefit the people that he's leading, right? And so there's a certain responsibility in leadership, right? And leading an individual. I want you to understand a manager is even different than a leader. A manager is responsible for executing somebody else's vision. That's somebody who's managing. I'm responsible for managing and executing somebody else's vision. I have a manager that works for me as the mayor. He has to execute the vision that's set forth by me and all the other people who sits on the council. So that's a manager. He got to execute our vision. But a leader is somebody who has a vision, who can see further than their eyes can see, right? A manager, he just administers, while a leader is an innovator, somebody who just constantly innovates, right? A manager, when you look at a manager, is just a copy, but a leader is an original, right? It's like whoa, it's nobody else like me. I'm an original. I'm bringing something that's fresh. A manager has to maintain, but a leader has to continue to develop. A manager relies on control, but the leader, he inspires trust. He ain't trying to control nothing. I'm just trying to get people to trust what I'm saying, right? A manager has a short range view, while a leader, he's playing the long game. He sees long range. He can literally keep seeing further than his eyes can see. A manager asks how and when, but a leader asks what and why. He's purpose driven. Manager, he imitates. The leader, he originates. A manager accepts the status quo, but the leader is somebody who's always challenging tradition and status quo, right? A manager does things right. The leader, he does the right thing. It's a difference, right? And so if I could give you a working definition of leadership based on what I've been taught, probably the best definition of leadership that I've ever seen. I know John Maxwell has his definition of leadership. There's so many people that has lessons their definition of leadership, but the best definition of leadership that I've ever heard, and he said it took him 40 years to craft this definition, and it's the one that I use. It's the one that I share every time I talk, and it was developed by Dr. Miles Monroe. He said leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration generated by passion, motivated by vision, birthed from conviction, and is produced by a purpose. I'm going to say that one more time because I know some of y'all are trying to get that. Leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration generated by passion, motivated by vision, birthed from a conviction, and it was produced by passion. So leadership is the ability to direct others by your influence. It's a leadership is a fundamental matter of becoming who you already are. And it's a process. Like, I'm not telling you that you're going to become a leader overnight, but it's a process. And that working definition, if I was to give it to you, it's really it's going to be the foundation, but it's also a discovery of your personal sense of purpose, right? It's the heart of leadership, and there's 6 words in that definition. There's 6 words in that definition that really break it down and exude what it is. There's purpose, there's conviction, there's vision, there's passion, there's inspiration and influence. 6 words: purpose, conviction, vision, passion, inspiration, and influence, right? Because you influence through inspiration. If they say leadership is influence, well, how are you going to influence somebody? So you work that definition backwards. I'm going to influence them through inspiration. Well, how am I going to inspire them? They're going to see how passionate I am about what it is I'm talking about and what I'm doing, They're gonna catch it. That passion comes from my vision. It comes from what I can see. My vision comes based on my conviction. My conviction comes from my purpose. Remember, I told you what I started out this broadcast saying: where purpose isn't known, abuse is inevitable. There's a normal use and there's an abnormal use, right? And so leadership is a function that inspires people to maximize uh, their own potential and that the resources they administer. So once you go from influence to inspiration, your inspiration follows purpose and vision, and then you begin to discover who it is that you really are. And so I want to give you 10 essential things, right? Then I'm gonna have some question and answer on what it's gonna take to develop, to really develop yourself as a leader. And it's what I use to develop myself over the last decade that I've been in a leadership role as an elected official, right? And so what the world doesn't need more politicians, it needs more people who are dedicated to becoming a leader. Let me say that again. We don't need more politicians. We need more people who are committed to becoming a leader. And there's a difference between politics and leadership. Yeah, I'm a politician by definition because a politician is somebody who motivates and inspires people to get things done. But ultimately, I'm a leader because I know how to inspire other people to catch charge of my vision. All right, so here are the 10 essentials that you need in developing your leadership keys. All right. One, I need you to discover yourself, right? All leaders have to uncover a sense of meaning and purpose for their lives, and really provide a true sense of their identity. And a lot of people right now, and you're going to see, especially the current generation, they have an identity crisis. They don't know who they are. They have to put on somebody else's name, like Michael Jordan or Versace or something like that, and say they don't have a unique sense of who they are. And so I need people to really sit down and become confident and understand and discover who it is you are. It's going to take some preparation. It's going to take you getting into a quiet place. It might come by fasting, it might come by praying, but you need to really decide and discover for yourself who you are. It's on the inside. And it's going to be uncovering a meaning of really purpose for your life. And it's going to give you an understanding and what is your unique identity as a person, right? And it's certain people you know exactly who they are. If I say Serena Williams right now, you know who she are. She's like the greatest tennis player of all time. I say Michael Jordan, you probably say he's the greatest basketball player of all time. They have their sense of identity. You know, I can call several people's names and you'll be able to identify who it is they are. And they associate them almost with whole industries, right? And so what are people going to say who you are? Can people clearly identify? Can you clearly identify for yourself? All right. Two, after you discover yourself, I need you to capture your own vision. Remember, I told you the difference between a manager and a leader is a leader has his own vision. A manager manages somebody else's vision. And so in leadership, I need you to be in a place where you capture your own vision, right? Leadership is actually starts to get conceived when a person's mental photograph of a future that incorporates their purpose. And so you need to be able to see a mental image. You need to be able to see with your mind's eye, right? With your mind's eye, you need to be able to see your purpose in the future and how your purpose benefits the next generation. So I need you to capture your vision, right? And when an individual captures his vision, his leadership function, it really begins to get stirred up, like something inside of a pot. And you got to have a sense. You remember what the Proverbs, what Solomon said. He said, "Without vision, people perish, or their life has no meaning of accomplish anything." So leadership, your leadership ability is going to depend on you capturing, refining, planning, simplifying, beginning to document, communicating, living it, and really maintaining a vision that you can really share. And you got to catch hold of a vision of a future that reflect the fulfillment of your life purpose. All right. Three, third thing is you need to share your inspiration, right? So the word inspire means to inflate, right? And it's an idea of the Greek where it's God breathed. It's also evidence that when you inspire people, when you inflate them, is you give other people life. Like some people don't know who they are, and some people's purpose in life is to help you fulfill your vision and your life purpose. But you have to be able to share your inspiration. People got to get so excited. One of the reasons I've been so effective in really accessing the kingdom is because my ability to share my passion for the town of Dumfries. Like I'm overwhelmingly passionate about making the town of Dumfries a destination place that people just don't drive through, but a place that people drive to. And people are inspired by my purpose, and everything I need and all the resources begin to align because I'm able to share my inspiration. My question to you is: have you discovered yourself? Have you really defined and planned out your vision? And have you done that? Are you in the position where you can clearly communicate and inspire and breathe life into other people who are willing to follow into your purpose and your vision? All right. The fourth one, and this is probably one of the most important ones, is you need to commit to a set of principles and values. So that means, as a leader, you have to commit to spiritual and moral truths that's going to form your character. And your character is going to be like a statue. You need to write that out and clearly define what are your principles and what are your values. What are the things that you won't tolerate? What are the things you won't violate? Right? And it's ultimately, leadership is ultimately going to be a measure of what you value, what your principles are. People are going to be attracted to your principles and your values, and people want to see themselves in you. So as you inspire them, they want to see that you're not just involved, but you're fully committed to your principles and values. All right, just making sense. Say yes or yes. Good. Good. You like that, huh? So now I need you to five. Well, no, I'm on number five, right? Five. I want you to express your passion. So the fifth thing is passion. True leadership is going to be impossible without passion. Passion is a result of the inspiration, and it's going to provide a catalyst for leadership. A catalyst is an agent that provokes or speeds significant change. Passion is a desire that's stronger than death and greater than opposition. So you're gonna have opposition. You're gonna have people who are in a position where they're pushing against you, but that's cool because you got to be just as passionate as them, or even more passionate about your purpose and your vision. Remember, all of this lines on you discovering yourself, or you finding out who you are, capturing your vision, sharing your inspiration, having a set of principles and values, and then you're able to express that. It was the passion from God that brought Moses back to face Pharaoh, his brother, his stepbrother, or whatever, his adopted brother, and time after time to tell him to listen, let the Israelites go. It was that passion that drove David to the face of Goliath, where he asked Goliath, "Who are you, you uncircumcised Philistine? You know who I am? I'm the Lord's." It's your passion that's going to give you the courage of the lion when he jump on that big old elephant who like 20 times heavier than him and stronger than him, and say, "Listen, this is my lunch." It's your passion that's going to get you in that ability to share. And so I need you to get to a position where you express your passion. All right, number six. I hope y'all getting this. I'm giving it to y'all quick, but it's some drive-by nuggets. If you begin to work on this ing, so when I talk about becoming, the ing is continual. This don't stop. These are things I'm constantly working on. And so it's things that you're gonna have to constantly work on in your quest to becoming a leader. Six, leadership is nothing if you don't empower others. So six, I need you to empower other people. So leadership is a commitment to people, right? And so leadership doesn't exist for yourself. Remember, I told you, if you're leading nobody but yourself, then you're just taking a walk. Like, you're not a leader, you're just somebody just taking a walk. And you got to understand that you have to be in a position to empower others, because leadership, it empowers, right? It sets standards for people, it influences them positively, and it gives other people hope. It gives them a deep conviction about their own ability to achieve greatness. And so I need you to understand it and consider when you become a leader, you have to be committed to empowering others, to giving other people power. Like they said, leadership or power isn't good if you don't know how to use it. And your leadership gift is not for yourself, but it's for you to empower others. It's for you to help others to find and discover their true leadership gifting as well. All right, y'all getting it? Seven. Seven. We almost there. I got four more. Seven. I need you to discipline yourself for your purpose. You say, well, didn't we already talk about purpose? But I need you to understand, discipline yourself for your purpose, meaning your true leadership, you got to possess a deep dedication to personal discipline, which incorporates some self-imposed standards, right? For the sake of achieving your noble goals, your aspirations. And I don't know what it is. It could be you not drinking, right? It could be you having one wife or one husband. It could be you, going in at a certain time. But you have to discipline yourself for your purpose. And there have to be some non-negotiables in your life that you got to focus on. And it might take some self-sacrifice, right? Some people say, listen, I'm gonna, you had some people who say, I'm a life of abstinence, or I'm not having nobody. I'm not gonna take a wife. I'm not gonna take a husband. Whatever it is that you discipline yourself for the sake of your purpose, it's going to involve a certain level of modeling it or speaking on it to other people in your life in order to obtain what's best. So leadership, it doesn't compromise the vision, right? But what it does is for this, and you're not going to, some people compromise their vision for the sake of popularity. And I'm telling you, don't compromise, but discipline yourself for your purpose so that you can become a leader according to the goals and objectives that line up for your purpose. And some purposes is necessary for you to be in certain environments, for you to influence. Remember, uh, you can't influence or inspire nothing that you don't engage in. You got certain people that don't want to go in certain places because of where they feel. Certain people don't go in certain environments. For a lot of people, they think that politics and the church don't mix, right? But you can't change or influence nothing that you avoid. But you gotta say, okay, does this line up with my purpose? I'm disciplined for my purpose, so I'm able to go inside these environments and able to influence them environments. But you can't influence nothing or inspire nothing that you avoid. Here we go. Eight. I'm getting there. I went longer than I said I was gonna go, but that's cool. I need you to coordinate your resources. Number eight. I need you to coordinate your resources, right? And your resources. There's three big areas of resources that a leader's got to really focus on, right? And you got your personal resources, you got to look at your financial resources, and then you got to look at planning, right? Because you can't control time, but you can plan time. Your financial situation, you need to figure out like where you want to be at in the financial and what is your financial resource you need to accomplish your goals or how the financial it is. And then personally, you got to be able to look at it because your true leadership is going to build what I like to say is whatever you manage well, you get more of, and whatever you mismanage, you lose. That's the moral of the story when you look at the parable of talents. Whatever you mismanage, you lose, and whatever you manage well. And so you need to coordinate your resources and become a good steward. Stewardship is just management of your physical, your financial resources, or find somebody who can help you manage it and overall uh, get you in a better position, right? And so to become a leader, I need you to understand that you got to know what your resources you have, what resources you still need, and how to use them most effectively. All right, nine. I got two more. We got. Is this good? Is this good? Yes or yes? Come on, y'all talk back to me. Good. I'm glad y'all getting something in the comments. Be like, listen, y'all better be sharing this. Don't keep this for yourself. All right, number nine. I need you to manage your priorities. Right. Remember, I told you leadership is controlled by vision and discipline and a sense of destiny. Right. And so your purpose and your vision is going to dictate your priorities and is going to determine the plan for really fulfilling your purpose. So it's an imperative for leadership, not just to identify and establish the vision, but you got to also be in a position where you design and really share this plan out. And it's going to require to really be organized and to really be able to manage your priorities. Again, I can't reiterate enough. Whatever you mismanage, you lose, and whatever you manage well, you get more of. And so if you want to experience maximum living and you want to maximize your potential living, narrow your life priorities to just a few things. Like just become committed to just one or two things. Moses was committed to getting the slaves free. After that, God took him up to the mountaintop and said, look, I can't take you over to the promised land, but you did your part, right? David did his part by slaying the giant and preparing the vision for the temple, and his son took it, right? And so Michael Jordan, he was a gifted basketball player, and so whatever you got to narrow it down. Like I'm a barbecue guy who just so happens to lead in politics. So you have to narrow your leadership down to just a few priorities. Manage your priorities and manage it well. So all of us aren't good at juggling a whole bunch of balls. You got to juggle the priorities and the things that you can. And then number 10, which almost could be number one, is you got to mentor your successors. You know, one of the biggest responsibility of leadership is you identifying who your successor are or having a succession plan. Because if the vision dies, if Moses didn't prepare Joshua, then there would have been nobody to lead into the Canaan land across the Jordan, right? And so leadership is really committing, right, to the priority of preparing someone who's going to fulfill you when you fulfill your vision when you're gone, fulfill your position as a leadership. True leaders know that success is measured to a large degree by your successor. You know, Nelson Mandela was able to see three generations of presidents that he mentored and groomed, right? And so you got to look at yourself. I mean, Chick-fil-A right now just passed the baton to the third generation. Dan Caffey passed it on to Andy Caffey, who is now the leader in the Chick-fil-A franchise. They're seeing three generations, and now they're already preparing the fourth generation. And this is a family-run business. And so leadership is never given to just one generation. You got to understand it's transgenerational. A leader that only serves his present generation is destined to fail. And so you got to understand that in your leadership, know that if the vision dies with you, it's failed. We we were we have just flew into the Bahamas when Dr. Monroe's plane crashed. And I remember getting interviewed by the Bahamas News Network, and they say, how can you guys do this conference with this tragedy that just happened yesterday? And I looked at the cameraman and I said, if we don't do this conference, then everything he taught us and the vision just died with him. And the vision was beyond him because he had mentored us for so many years that we were prepared to pick up that baton and to continue to carry on the mission. And so all authority is given. So we got to go out and we got to make disciples of all nations, right? And teaching them everything that we've learned. And so it's all about it really expressing yourself. And so becoming a leadership or becoming a leader is synonymous, really, when you look at it, with really becoming yourself, becoming who you really are. We're our own raw material, and we were destined based on what the creator breathed on the inside of us to become a leader. You were born to lead, but ultimately, I need you to understand is you got to become a leader. So God created you as someone special and original. And I want you to discover yourself and become a leader. Thank y'all for listening.
Wow, wow, Doc. I'm always say Dr. Derrick. Wow, wow, Mayor Derrick Wood. My goodness, I'm telling you, you just nug it out by giving us all the great nugget that everyone need. I mean, everyone, every child of God, every son, every daughter needs this nugget to become me. And when you say become me, it's the present tense. That means the present tense is our present.
Yeah.
It's always there. So we have to walk it daily. It's not something that okay, you walk 5 years, you say, okay, now I'm already there. No. God is always walking. So
Yeah,
if God is always
the suffix in it, the ing. Like we're human beings and we are becoming, and
exactly,
the ing is continual.
Exactly. That's why I say he's always working. He's always working on, even in us and on us. He's always working because he knew, even though in his mind we are already a finished product, but because of sin, so that he have to come back and try now to how could I say, resurrected
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
which was laid dormant by the effect of sin, so that they have now to work it out, causing us to becoming. We are born children, but we don't stay at the level of always be children, because children can lead, children can dominate, children can rule the planet. You have to grow into a certain maturity, because I know some people say, okay, yeah, why you guys are always more about leadership, more leadership? We are all sons and daughters. Yes, that is a fact. That's the nature of God. But God do not give authority and power to a babes. That is why Paul says in his scripture that the laws was a schoolmaster to us until we become to maturity, so that we could now begin to rule. And that is the step you gave us. Self-discovery is to understand truly who we are. That's why the whole world today is messed up, because people do not know who they are. And MK Ultra made it so beautifully so that people don't even know who they are. And so you have people who do not even understand what is a vision. They don't know what is a vision. So how could you rule a place if you don't have a vision? How could you rule a domain if you don't know that you are a king or that you are a queen? How can you do that? How could you inspire somebody else when you don't even understand who you are?
And it's funny because that's the first question when somebody is running for office. You got to ask them, like, why? And most of the time, if they can't articulate and don't have a clear vision, you kind of looking at them like this is something you want because you just want a title or you want a position. There's no substance to them wanting to lead.
Exactly. And I love the fact that you said that the position will not give us our leadership. You could have a title, you could get to the university, get all the degree. It doesn't give us leadership. I love that. It's just performance. As you say, that all the title and position does not guarantee performance. I mean, the expression of passion is birthed out of somebody who know who they are and they have captured their vision and mastered their purpose. That is how it works. Are you still there, or are you kind of
No, I'm here. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you what's made me effective in my performance and my leadership. It's not a fact of me just wanting to have this title. Again, I didn't want to do this. This was a calling, and I kind of it's funny. God called me collect, and I picked up the phone call. and I was like, really? Like, I'm somewhere between God's plan and God stopped playing. I'm like right in the middle. And so I picked up the phone call and I took the call, and I'm in this because of the vision. He's given me a clear vision, and I can look back over the last decade and I can look at the accomplishments of what we accomplished because I was able to see further than my eyes can see. And I hope people really get the point of having a clear vision and a purpose, because that's where everything starts.
Exactly. And that's when you say that God, when God created us, we have his nature, and then after he built in us his ability. And I like the fact that you said that, because people always often ask, but why do we have to have a vision? God had the vision of the earth. And so when God has a vision of the earth, what he created the earth, even though he created the earth, but we were the first creation in God's mind, even though that we came at the last on the picture. Right? We were the first creation in God's mind. He first created an Adam and an Eve, and he created a dominator, a son of God, a daughter of God. But he said, okay, I could not just let them go like that. So what I have to do is now create the domain where they're going to rule over. And then after that, I create that domain, since I have them as a thought in my mind, Now I'm going to water in Derrick Wood. He's going to become one day the mayor of Dumfries, Virginia. But until the point that he will become that one, first he had to sit under the tutelage of Dr. Miles Monroe so that Dr. Miles Monroe would teach him to find out who he is. So when the time comes, then now I'm going to take him into the place that he has to rule over Dumfries, Virginia. Then he will understand himself. It's a process. It's a becoming, as you say. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, beautiful, darling Queen Annette Trujillo. And I also saw that Ambassador Fred Masumba is watching all the way from Zambia. I just want to highlight those who are watching. Ambassador Cherry Myrtle also watching. Ambassador George Abraham and Ambassador Eliana More. And so just to get back to my train of thought, that is why you are today doing what you're doing. And as you say in the beginning, you say there are some people who want to do the job, but they were not called for that. And there are those who have been called for that, but they're running away from it. It's amazing.
I mean, I'm in awe like all the time because not only have I answered the call and I want to do it now, but I've been gifted and there's a certain favor and anointing. Like people don't understand why I move in it so effortlessly. It's like a bird flies effortlessly because it was created to fly. A fish swims when somebody is operating their calling. Like I didn't know this was my calling, but I discovered it, and now I'm so effective at it. I'm able to influence in so many areas, and it's because not only am I called, but I'm a student. Like I continue to plan, I continue to study to show myself approved. I continue to network and build the proper relationships. Now I make it look easy, but there's still a certain level of responsibility that I have to do to be effective in it. And so I don't want people to think it's easy. It's simple, but it requires work. But we were also created to work. When you get to chapter 2 of Genesis, you'll see that God held back the rain because he didn't have a man to work the ground. And that's why we were created too.
Exactly. I mean, how can God create the whole planet Earth if there is no manager, or if there is no one to till the ground or to do that? He will not do it because of the animal who are going to do that. So he wanted us to be on the earth, not on planet Mars, as people try to go in the other planet. Meanwhile, they haven't yet have dominion over the earth. And even we've been discovering how the church actually have taught the people so wrongly about this thing called dominion. So in a wrong way. Very, very wrong. But God is bringing that memory back to each man and each woman so that we could actually go after his kingdom and implement his kingdom on the earth in every places. Wow. That is mind-blowing. And people may ask, but okay, what does that have to do with me? Or what does that have to do with kingdom access? If you don't discover all the steps that Mayor Wu just spoke about, now the 10th step, how are you going to get the kingdom access? Why are you going to get the kingdom access for? Because God could only finance what he called you to do. Correct? You are mute. You are mute.
Oh, can you hear me? Yeah. Yes. So I was saying, look, all I did was come up with the vision. And people, it's funny, I look back over and I was reflecting today. I posted what my vision was 10 years ago to what I've accomplished now. And I remember people laughing at the vision because the vision was so big that I knew that it wasn't my responsibility to come up with the resources for this vision to happen. My job was just to inspire other people with the vision, and all the resources was going to be put out there, right? And remember, without a vision, the people perish. But I had a vision. I was a purpose. I am a purpose-driven leader, and everything rises and falls on your vision, and on your vision being tied to your purpose, or you being fully convicted. on you having the ability to inspire others to come onto that vision. And so I just want to encourage you, right? The key to your access into opening up heaven on earth for you, right? Because the kingdom access is really about the Lord's Prayer. Let your kingdom come, let your will be done right here in the physical on earth, like it's being happened in the spiritual of heaven, right? And so you got to understand that your access, it all revolves around you becoming a leader in what you were gifted, what your talents are. Stop burying your talents. Stop putting your talent in the ground and go out and begin to manage and develop your talents and become the you that you were created to be. Come on. If you don't get nothing else out of this today, I need you to become the you that you were created to be. And I know most of you haven't even discovered it. Remember that the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but is you living your life without your purpose, without knowing your purpose, without releasing your purpose, without maximizing your potential. And it's a process that's going to take you from potential to purpose. You need to cross that bridge and go through your process. Look,
Beautiful.
we got to
I
go.
mean, I couldn't put it so well as you did, because that is the whole purpose of having kingdom access. The whole purpose of having kingdom access is to be able to have provision for a vision that God gave you.
Come on.
God is not having you the kingdom access to give you provision for something that you're going to squander. Is giving you provision for something that's going to benefit a generation, benefit another generation. As you said, that leadership is not only you, but it's transgenerational. And he is the one who brings the provision to be able to fund the vision that he laid in your heart. Have you found that vision yet? Have you discovered even who you are yet? Did you have any passion or anything that you want to do? Are you someone who could empower others? Do you live with something that is better than death? Are you becoming, working on yourself, having discipline? Have you been doing all those little steps? God sees it. And once you do that, the door of access is going to be open unto you. But first, are you even in him? Because many people are crying, say, okay, I want this, I want, but they are not in Christ. Paul says it clearly. In him we live, in him we move, and in him we have all our being. So if we are not in him, and if we are not living in him, and we will never have our being. And therefore, kingdom access is not going to be for those who are not in him. God cannot be mocked. He said, I am God and I change not. He's always about his kingdom, about the expansion, about making sure that those who have become mature, very mature, his children who become mature, who become leaders, who rule and who are dominated, they will get the provision needed for that. So before we wrap up, Mayor Wood, what would be your final remark for those who are watching now and for those who are going to tune in when we off air? What will you recommend? I know you have written a book which I read and I love it. The book is Building Businesses Credit. The lesson that you will not learn from any school.
Yeah.
Great book. I really appreciate that book. I really love it. For anyone who want to go to business, you need to get a copy of that book.
Yeah, for today, I would recommend Dr. Monroe's book, The Principles and Power of Vision, right? Because I think vision, or even the spirit of leadership, but I think vision, because everything, without a vision, the people perish. I want to say you don't see what's there in life, you see what you've been programmed to see. Let me say that again. In life, this is my closing remarks. In life, you don't see what's there, you see what you've been programmed to see. And you see based on the environment that you've been born into, right? So your concepts are based on your environment that you were brought up with. just because those are your concepts, your precepts might actually be wrong and gives you misconceptions, right? That's why in the word he says the truth will set you free. Well, what is truth? Truth is original information tied to the source. And Jesus says, I am truth. And so you have to go back to the source to get your precepts right so that your concepts will be right and there'll be no misconception, right? So you don't see what's there, you see what you're programmed to see. Go back to truth, which is the source, and then you will begin to see clearly. Until you change the way you see a thing, the thing that you're looking at would never change. Let me say that again. Until you change the way you see a thing, the thing that you're looking at will never change. And so vision is the most important thing. The power and principles of your vision is going to lead you to a place where you become a leader. Thank y'all for tuning in to Kingdom Access Part 2. This has been tantalizing, teasing, and terrific. You can follow me on whatever social media platforms, Instagram, Mayor DR Wood. You can follow me on Facebook, Mayor Derrick Wood. YouTube, Friends of Derrick Wood. I look forward to connecting with you. I look forward to being able to add value to your life and to really, I want to hear your stories about how you are becoming a leader in your area of gifting. I love each and every one of you. And as the Baptist preacher says, nothing you can do about it.
Oh my gosh, I just love it. I just love the way you put it. There's nothing to add about it. You hear it well. And then you could follow Mayor Derrick Wood in the various platforms as he gave himself. And so this is all what we have for you today. All of you who tuned in today, we are so grateful and so thankful for your life. And we know that you could have been somewhere else or whatever you could have been doing, or maybe have chosen to be doing. But you chose this moment in time to have the impact and to change your mind, to get some revelation about yourself, about how you could actually have this kingdom access. You can do it, beloved. You may be a kingdom citizen. You may not be yet a kingdom citizen. You may be a kingdom ambassador. You may be a kingdom diplomat, or you may be just a child of God and you wanna get to another level. It is possible because He, the source, God, created all mankind to be a leader. Yes, we are sons and daughters. Those who accept Christ are sons and daughters. We are child of God, all of us who are made after His own image and likeness. But sons and daughters are totally different from a child. So you could become, the choice is yours and it's on you. We gave you the opportunity and now you take it and then you grasp it and you could do all what you want to do with it, but just not be a reservoir. Share this broadcast with all. And until we see you next time, please follow us on all the various platforms that we have. It's going to pop up on the screen. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are on Instagram. We are on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please follow us also on Podbean, our podcast, or on Rumble channel, or on BitChute channel. We are everywhere. We are trying to get on social, on True Social, because we know that we need to advance the kingdom of God, just as our name is Mamlaka, taking dominion over the air. That's what we're doing, taking dominion over the air, because the lamestream media are giving you poison. You don't want to spend the time watching the lamestream media, all the things that they give to you that will not profit you. You are actually watching something that is not meant for you. Thank you very much, Derrick. We know that you have taken this time out of your campaign. And we know that you are actually on your campaign trail somewhere. So thank you very much for the privilege of your time and for stopping by and just bless our audience today with tremendous nugget. And I want to talk to you after we are off air. So because we need to solidify our calendar. Thank you very much.
God bless everybody.
Bye-bye.